It would be impossible to tell the story of the Arctic Cheetah without setting our sails for Luthien. More specifically, the concerted effort by clans Smoke Jaguar and Novacat to claim the capital world of the Draconis Combine. In the early hours of January 4th, 3052, clan warships and jumpships arrived in orbit over Luthien. The knockdown, drag-out fight over control of the planet became a rallying cry for the Inner Sphere, as well as a wake-up call for the clans. Trying to fight their way through every dirty battlefield trick and ambush in the book, the Smoke Jaguars and Novacats were ground into a fine paste. As the clan jumpships fled the system in shame, the combined Combine and mercenary units which had successfully defended Luthien were able to get their bearings, count their dead, and start to pick up the pieces of a nearly shattered world. Among the mangled remnants of the Smoke Jaguar and Novacat war machines was a curious new Omnimech that hadn't been seen before in the Inner Sphere. Quickly given the Inner Sphere nickname of Hankyu, which translates to short bow, this 30-ton machine showed up in battle reports from across the conflict. Often used as a scout, the Arctic Cheetah relied upon speed and agility to avoid incoming fire, while able to still dish out plenty of its own. The after-action reports and research done by Combine scientists on salvage technology demonstrated that the clans still had the capability to come up with some new cards to play. Shin realized that Takashi did not understand exactly how the clans operated. The coordinator believed that once the clans had committed their forces, they would not call down reinforcements. Prisoner interviews had suggested that their bidding system allowed them to call down more forces if and when needed. This put Theodore in the position of having to allow the clans to progress until his troops were in a position to utterly destroy them. As reinforcements would take approximately 2 hours to land, the final battle would have to be very swift, or clan reinforcements might arrive just in time to do some good. Of course, Shin reminded himself, they could always raise the city with an orbital assault, as they did Eadeh on Turtle Bay. Blood Legacy, Blood of Kerensky, Book 2, page 418, by Michael A. Stackpole. Though the Inner Sphere debut for the Arctic Cheetah was in among the chaos of Luthien, the origins of this little 30-ton menace date back much earlier into the mid-3030s, when Clan Ice Hellion was toying with a brand new Omnimech to replace the 25-ton Mist Lynx. The Lynx had been a successful scout for many years, but was now seen as outdated. The 30-ton Omnimech that they could build would address some of the Mist Lynx drawbacks and provide a bit more flexibility in battlefield roles. The Ice Hellions crafted the Arctic Cheetah out of Hellion light endosteel wrapped around a Warrior 240 Extra Life fusion engine. Every piece of weight-saving technology was employed, including 4 tons of compound beta ferrofibrous armor. The 6 Foster Ocelot Mark 8 jump jets allowed for leaps of plasmic joy out to 180 meters, which pushed the overall movement profile to 8 to 12.6, which was plenty fast and agile for a 30-tonner. Adding the gyro, cockpit, 10 double heat sinks, and the HCFA targeting and tracking and communication systems left a whopping 9.5 tons of pod space across 21 critical locations. 6 of those open locations were found in each arm, 5 in the left torso, 4 in the right torso. Open space was limited, but so was the pod space tonnage. So, as we'll soon learn, you can actually do quite a bit with 9.5 tons worth of clan gear and weaponry. The primary configuration reflected a general-purpose setup with a pair of long-range Missile 5 racks split between the arms as long-range harassing weapons. Each launcher was fed by its own ton of ammunition in the case-protected side torsos. The other M5s were joined in the arms by a pair of ER medium lasers. The last weapon is one that isn't technically a fixed item, but will show up on every configuration. The right torso-mounted flamer was clearly the star of the show, offering up its heat and damage out to 3 hexes, just as Kerensky intended. The addition of a right torso active probe, ECM suite in the left torso, and target acquisition gear installed next to it provided the Arctic Cheetah with the electronics gear necessary to fill any scouting role. The initial tests and trials for the Arctic Cheetah were very favorable, and it appeared like they had themselves a winner. The higher top speed and 2 additional tons of pod space that the Arctic Cheetah had over the mist links was going to make the Hellions all the more dangerous in future trials against other clans. At least, that was the plan. Just a few months after the full-scale production started within the Foster Mechworks facility beta, Clan Smoke Jaguar made their play for Hellions assets. It must have been a tough pill to swallow when the Jaguars took possession of not just the design for the Arctic Cheetah, but also the production line. From that point on, the Arctic Cheetah became a signature light mech for the Smoke Jaguars. Other clans identified the Omnimech's value, and through one path or another, the Cheetah started to see use among the Steel Vipers, Nova Cats, and over more time, most of the rest of the clans to varying degrees. None of the word mechs had taken notice of Jessie, and she took advantage of this to maneuver her Hankyu into a concealed position behind one of the smaller buildings. The Celestials were all focused on Lauren's Cauldronborn, and she meant to take every possible advantage of that mistake. There was no way she could see to help Trenner, even if he had somehow managed to survive, but she might be able to help Lauren, if she could arrive soon enough. From her partially concealed position, she thumbed a targeting reticule. The indicator light turned green, telling her the laser was solidly on target, and she waited. She had planned for this. Well, kind of. Lost Ghosts, Shrapnel No. 9, page 113-114, by David G. Martin. While the primary configuration of the Arctic Cheetah was popular among the warriors of Clan Smoke Jaguar, the Steel Vipers tended to lead toward the A configuration, which specialized in packing a short-range punch similar to that of the Inner Sphere Commando. The primary weapons were a pair of Streak SRM-6s split between the arms, which could grab a lock out to 12 hexes for a possible 24 combined missile damage. For closer range interpersonal conflicts, a small pulse laser in the right arm could rapidly de-escalate situations by rendering your foe into smoldering charcoal. Finally, as previously mentioned, the Flamer holds a position of honor, this time in the left arm. It's a relatively straightforward configuration that offered a compelling argument for the Mechwarrior's enemies to call in a sick day. I can't blame them. The A configuration has no heat issues, and if you live long enough to fire those streak launchers 15 times, you've earned the right to fall back and resupply. If the Prime and A configurations weren't up your alley, the B configuration favored by the Nova Cats offered a little bit of everything. Going from long range to short, an LB2X autocannon in the right arm offered its modest damage out to 30 hexes and could feed from a single ton of ammunition in the right torso. Starting at 15 hexes, an ER medium laser in the left arm could considerably ramp up the damage output. The medium pulse laser, also in the left arm, could do its accurate work starting at 12 hexes, and finally, a good old flamer in the right arm did its thing starting at 3 hexes. I've completely given up trying to sort out what the Nova Cats were thinking at any point in the timeline, so with that in mind, the B configuration makes perfect sense. Sure, let's go wild. It's just a little bit of everything, and altogether we're looking at an alpha strike of 18 damage at 3 hexes max. Not great. Let's see if the C configuration can get us out of this funk. Designed as an urban hunter-killer, the C configuration relied upon mid- and short-range energy weapons to do the heavy lifting. 4 ER medium lasers split evenly between the arms were dangerous enough, but they were bolstered by a pair of medium pulse lasers split between the side torsos, which could add catastrophic burning injury to insult. The Flamer was moved over to the left torso, but don't think we forgot you, you little guy. So adorable. Finally, an active probe was installed into the right torso to help the C configuration hunt down its prey. The only serious limitation for the C was the heat curve, with just 10 double heat sinks. Firing all 4 ER medium lasers while on the run left the mech at 2+ heat into the red, which actually is not bad at all. However, adding in the medium pulse lasers could cause some issues. Yet again, with the total alpha strike damage, including the Flamer, of 44, that may be too tempting to resist when the moment is right and you really want to help a target shuffle the mortal coil. Whatever, go wild. The heat you generate is a future use problem. Live in the now, my friend. The last of the original 3037 official configurations was the D, and like the youngest child in the family, it just can't do any wrong. The fire support Arctic Cheetah was given 2 long-range missile 10 racks split between the arms and each fed by 2 tons of ammunition in each side torso. With 24 shots per launcher, the D configuration could stomp all over the backfield and cause problems with little concern about being chased down thanks to its speed and jump jets. The flamer was installed into the right torso to deal with any close targets, though the Clan LRM launchers are always technically a threat. Overall, the Arctic D stands as a niche build for a specific mission. Still nice to have, though. A small Hankyu popped up on the left and opened fire on the penetrator. Of the small humanoid mech's 6 medium lasers, the ones mounted on the right and left arms dissolved armor from the penetrator's left arm and left leg. The chest-mounted pulse lasers stippled the armor of the mech's right arm and left breast. The penetrator shed smoking scales of armor, but none of the shots got through to damage the mech's working parts. The penetrator's return fire devastated the Hankyu. 2 pulse lasers scoured armor off each breast, while another picked away at the armor over the mech's right arm. The last 2 produced a flight of energy darts that burned through the armor on the mech's right leg and bit into the muscles and synthetic bones beneath. The Hankyu still managed to remain upright, a tribute to the pilot's skill and misplaced sense of courage. Grave Covenant, page 279, by Michael A. Stackpole. Throughout Operation Revival, the Arctic Cheetah saw extensive use, not just by the Smoke Jaguars and Nova Cats, but among all of the invading clans. During the trial on Tukayyid against Comstar in 3052, it was spotted commonly among Battle and Striker stars. Returning to Luthien, the salvaged clan mechs were shuffled away by the Combine for research. Select samples of clan technology began to appear among Combine units and specialized refits. Over the long term, the future of the Arctic Cheetah, or Hankyu if you prefer, would be secured, not just on clan production lines. Surprisingly, the Arctic Cheetah wouldn't see another official configuration until 3062 with the debut of the Config H. As is so often the case for this spot in the timeline, heavy lasers are featured. However, the primary draw for the H config might have been the ER large laser in the mech's left arm. It would be up to that laser to pull the apple cart until close range when the rest of the build could come into play. A medium heavy laser in the right arm could reach out to 9 hexes for its 10 damage, but at the cost of 7 heat. 2 small heavy lasers in the left torso could join in at 3 hexes and closer for 6 damage apiece. Finally, the flamer was shifted over to the left arm to presumably keep the ER large laser company. The 3 additional double heat sinks added to the H configuration helped quite a bit, as once you're in close range, firing that ER large laser and the medium heavy laser while on the run would generate 21 heat. It's not until the small heavy lasers come into play that the X's Mechwarrior would have to be really careful about heat generation. Not being a huge fan of the heavy laser technology, I can't be too critical of the H configuration because it's still a 30-ton mech lugging around an ER large laser. It's not a small problem even before bringing the heavy lasers into play. If I were to give this one a rating, it would be 1.5 chocolate muffins out of 3 giraffes. Mini Frog, we need to talk about this rating system. It makes no sense. Horse fired a salvo of missiles toward the Hankyu, sending a large chunk of armor flying off the enemy mech's back. The plating fell toward the street and immediately became more anonymous rubble atop a high pile of debris. Horse got in no more shots. The Hankyu engaged its jump jets and leapt over the shell of the building from which it had come. Horse got on the comm line fast and told his trinary not to pursue. "Could be a trap," he hollered.
"Almost certainly is,"
Pagine echoed. Falcon Rising, Twilight of the Clans, Volume 8, page 207, by Robert Thurston. Every good clan Omnimech needs an anti-personnel configuration, and the E-config really delivered that in 3071. Though the Cheetah's primary weapons had to be considered the 2 medium pulse lasers split between the side torsos, the stars of the show were the 6 light machine guns split between the arms in 2 arrays, each fed by their own half-ton of ammunition. Though the light MGs only do 1 damage apiece out to the max of 6 hexes, the arrays can concentrate their fire on specific locations on a target. The flamer is once again there to add its fiery fury, this time located in the left torso. Finally, 2 B-pods were added to the battle mech, 1 in each side torso, to dissuade any battle armor or infantry from wandering too close. The last thing you want is to have to argue with your insurance company about why out of preferred provider zone Claymore mine injuries should be covered at 100%. Though clearly a niche configuration, the E could be useful beyond just anti-battle armor and infantry duty. The medium pulse lasers are always useful, as not even the big battle mechs out there want to be shot in the back for 7 damage apiece. Things start to get a little spicy in 3093 with the Arctic Cheetah F config, as it sported several new pieces of technology. Primarily a short-range hunter and ECM machine, the F carried a pair of medium improved heavy lasers split between the arms as its primary weaponry. Next, 2 Streak LRM-5s were set into the left and right arms, and each fed from a central ton of ammunition in the right torso. Finally, the traditional Flamer was set into the right torso. The ECM elements were provided by a Watchdog CEWS system set into the left torso. Gosh, did I just say CEWS system? That's like, ATM machine? Yeah, sorry. Next to it, light target acquisition gear followed the F configuration to act as artillery spotter. The overall possible damage for the Arctic Cheetah F is technically 33 in an Alpha Strike, but the various limitations on range and achieving missile lock suggest the more realistic number is probably closer to 15. If my public school guesstimation is accurate. Probably not, but this isn't that kind of BattleTech channel. I really don't do math here. More hysterical hyperbole and delusions of grandeur. That I can do all day. The F configuration is functional, if a bit niche, due to the commitment to the ECM role. I'm just not sure the medium improved heavy lasers are worth that investment. The Hankyu landed just 70 meters below him, its array of short-range missiles and small lasers shooting up the hillside at Trent. Half the missiles dug into the rocks, some 10 meters in front of him, while the others plowed into his legs, going off like fireworks and shaking the Timberwolf like a groundquake. The laser and flamer lapped up at him, hitting his left and center torsos. The cockpit temperature spiked with the hit, and Trent broke out into a beady, wet sweat. Exodus Road, page 52, by Blaine Lee Pardoe. 6 years later, in 3099, the Arctic Cheetah I channeled its inner arsonist with the installation of a plasma cannon in the mech's right arm. Though the weapon only had 10 shots, it could devastate infantry, battle armor, and light vehicles, while completely ruining a target battle mech's heat curve by spraying it with the equivalent of flaming plastic marshmallows. Good times. Now where were we? Oh yeah, the other weapons on this thing. Alright. The medium improved heavy laser in the left arm offers its 10 damage out to 9 hexes, and a pair of short-range missile 4 racks split between the side torsos shared the same range profile, which is nice. Each launcher had its own 1 ton of ammunition to feed from, stored next to the launchers in the side torsos. The left torso flamer polished off the configuration just as it should. Heat isn't an issue for general use, however, if you deploy the plasma cannon along with everything else, you're looking at 5 into the red while on the run. It may be worth it if your target is a mech and you can apply up to 14 additional heat in order to ruin their day. Overall, the I configuration stands as a good platform for the plasma cannon. I'm being super kind here because the Arctic Cheetah J is next and I'm just going to completely lose it. The Penetrator and the Hankyu repeated their exchanges of fire. The small mech again hit with every shot it took. Molten armor poured in rivulets off the Penetrator's mid-chest and right arm, leaving it without protection. 2 of the lasers boiled off the remaining sheets of armor on the mech's left leg and began scorching the internal structures. Worst yet, the last 2 lasers bored into the Penetrator's right chest, destroying the last 2 lasers there and reducing most of the internal structures to scrap. Grave Covenant, page 280, by Michael A. Stackpole. Speaking of my least favorite Arctic Cheetah, the J-config rolled onto the scene in 3141 thanks to a collaboration between Clan Seafox and the Draconis Combine to get the former Novacat production lines on Kodu back up and running. Why the Novacats weren't there anymore to do it themselves is a story for another video. Well, maybe later in this video, we'll see. Let's just say that they're on an extended break. Though officially now an Inner Sphere-owned factory, all of the tech remains Clan spec. Our little J configuration sported an ER large laser and an ER small laser in the left arm, along with a flamer in the right arm. The last and least worthy addition, because I say so, was a Protomech AC-2 autocannon in the right arm, which fed from a ton of ammunition in the right torso. For those who need a refresher on what a smoldering piece of refuse the Protomech AC weapons are, the PAC-2 weighs in at 3.5 tons and does 2 damage out to 20 hexes. Counting the ton of ammunition, that means almost half the pod space in the Arctic Cheetah is spent on a weapon that does 2 damage. Short of adding it to the mech as some sort of cruel joke, there's no reason why this weapon should exist on an Omni-Mech. It's awful. You would be better off adding a medium laser and just leaving the 3.5 tons of remaining pod space empty. In short, the Arctic Cheetah J is bad, and it should feel bad. I kind of feel bad for it now. Was I too mean? Sorry. Ugh. Okay, thankfully that isn't our most recent official configuration, because I'd hate to end it on a down note. This isn't Empire. In 3142, the configuration gods showed some mercy with the Arctic Cheetah T. With this newest official configuration, the T carries 2 additional jump jets along with target acquisition gear to help once again claim that scouting crown. 2 Streak LRM-5s split between the arms provided the long-range damage, and starting at 15 hexes, 2 ER medium lasers, also in the arms, offered their reliable damage. Finally, of course, the Flamer returns in its right torso critical location. Both Streak LRM launchers feed from a single ton of ammunition on the left torso, and due to the nature of the Streak launchers, it's likely that's going to be way more ammunition than you're going to need in any given battle. The T-config's 10 double heat sinks are more than enough to handle the alpha strikes while on the run, and even jump jetting within reason. Overall, it's an okay entry in the Arctic Cheetah pantheon. Definitely better than the J-config, so good on you, T. When the Hankyu, possibly the same one that had menaced Bello, jumped to the top of the wall and began firing downward, Horse was ready, targeting the Hankyu's torso with his LRMs. They caught the enemy mech mid-torso and knocked it backward off the wall. As it fell into the building, Horse tracked it with his summoner's right arm, firing the small laser at the descending Hankyu through the descending row of windows in the building wall. Glass shattered and frames splintered. Whether or not the missile salvo or the lasers had together destroyed the Hankyu, Horse felt that if the Viper mech was still mobile, it was not revealing itself to him anymore. Falcon Rising, Twilight of the Clans, Volume 8, page 209, by Robert Thurston. I hope I wasn't the only one to notice a curious absence in the pantheon of Arctic Cheetah configurations. We've been doing this for a while now, and there's almost always a heavy laser config. There's usually also a configuration that carries an advanced tactical missile launcher or two. Today's totally unofficial and non-canon Arctic Cheetah MF config seeks to rectify that glaring omission. The primary draw for the MF config are 2 ATM-3 launchers split between the arms. They're fed from a centralized ammunition supply in the left torso. 1 ton of each type of ammunition provides plenty of options for the creative Mechwarrior. While this does limit the launchers to 10 shots of each type per launcher, the 30 overall should last far longer than the rest of the battle mech, especially if that left torso starts taking critical hits. Either way, big boom. The ATM launchers are aided by a medium pulse laser in the right arm and a small pulse laser in the left arm, useful for dealing with other fast movers who might try to chase you down on the battlefield crime spree. Finally, of course, it wouldn't be an Arctic Cheetah without a flamer, this time nestled in the right torso. While the overall damage for the MF config is modest, it's quite flexible, which has been a key aspect of the Omni-Mech since its earliest days. If you'd like to give it a go, I did include a free PDF record sheet for it in the video notes below. Please let me know how it does. But this Arctic Cheetah did not look so good. Its gray-blue paint was marred with black char lines, and it was moving sluggishly like a disaster victim hobbled by a shock. Susan supposed it was not so far from the truth. The Arctic Cheetah staggered left, presenting its rear armor to Susan's targeting reticule. She almost issued a challenge, then realized she did not have to, and pulled her secondary trigger, launching a flight of her Streak SRMs. The missiles streamed in and smashed into the Arctic Cheetah's spine, shattering armor everywhere. She followed up with her 2 side-mounted SRM-6 racks and scored more satisfying detonations across the Viper's already wounded back. The Arctic Cheetah began to turn, but Jackson's Stone Rhino was already rotating toward the injured light mech. He punched a pair of Gauss rifle slugs into the Viper mech even before it made it all the way around. One of the slugs took out the light mech's right missile launcher, the other amputated the Arctic Cheetah's left leg, and that was that. Jaguar's Leap, page 210, by Reed Bishop. The future of the Arctic Cheetah looks bright. With production continuing on Kodu at the dawn of the Ilclan era, it seems that the Inner Sphere hasn't seen the last of this little 30-ton menace. Its fate on the clan homeworlds is a little less certain, though I wasn't able to find any information suggesting the mech had gone extinct. For Clan Novacat, their control of the design was shattered when the clan ended up on the losing end of a power struggle within the Draconis Combine. During the Battle of Eris in December of 3142, the DCMS fell upon the clan with intent to completely wipe them out. Arctic Cheetahs were represented within the DCMS forces that dished out the dragon's vengeance. Pacing the length of warriors before him, Horgoz reflected on the circular nature of life. He had been subject to such inspections in the past, now he was the one doing the inspecting, weighing the heart and soul of the warriors with whom he had been entrusted. Warriors! Many among the lower castes mark today as the Day of Gifts, and that is certainly the case for us. We have been given the gift of a glorious battle, the likes of which few of us have ever seen. Some of us have been given the gift of warrior status. I have been given the gift of you, for I shall lead you into battle and to victory. I know there have been doomsayers prowling the fringes of our camps like specters in the night. They say our clan will soon be at an end. I say they are wrong. I say we will be victorious, and in victory there is life. Selah, his warriors cried. It ends in fire. Shrapnel number 12, page 36, by Alan Brundage. The Novacats faced the best that the DCMS had to offer, with everything they could muster. Mechs, tanks, trucks packed with lower castes, armed with SRM launchers and machine guns. Most understood that this was likely the end of the clan. Not fighting in some trial or glorious assault against an enemy, but fighting in a desperate defense against complete annihilation. Backed into this proverbial corner, the Novacats fought ferociously. A lance of either Genyosha or First Sword of Light Arctic Cheetahs were tasked with cutting down the Novacats wherever they could be found. The trusty flamers and other light weapons devastated the motley defenders. Many of them Solama troops, lower caste members, or warriors who had previously failed in their trials. No one was spared. Novacat elementals saw some success against advancing battle mechs in the urban environment of New Barcella, but the power imbalance was too much to overcome. Dozens of elemental points were ravaged by the battle mechs that sought to bring them down. The Arctic Cheetah's B-pods taking down whole platoons of soldiers and any elementals that thought they could leap in for a kill.
Warriors of Clan Novacat, I, Tai Sa Diablo Reed, of the 1st Genyosha, have a message for you from Yori Karita, the glorious coordinator of the Draconis Combine. She bids me tell you that this was your last chance, that all your lives have been expended. Too many times have you abandoned your duty to the Combine. Too many times have we faced the consequences of your actions. No more. Today, your clan, like the Smoke Jaguars and so many others before you, dies. There will be no surrender taken, no absolution offered. This is the end of you. It ends in fire. Shrapnel, issue 12, by Alan Brundage.
The last surviving defenders of the Clan Novacat enclave on New Barcella were denied the opportunity for a glorious and honorable last stand. An aerospace fighter-delivered nuclear weapon vaporized the Khan and those who had survived the previous day's fighting. In a tragic turn of fate, the Omnimech that had very nearly obliterated the dragon on Luthien was now being used to wipe out the second clan that had attempted it. So why do we love the Arctic Cheetah? As an Omnimech, it's a perfectly serviceable and agile 30-ton scout mech that can still hit pretty hard. As a narrative bookend for Clan Novakat's antics in the Inner Sphere, it's a valuable tool turned on its owners. Yeah, I know the spirit cats are a thing, but, go with me here. Though obviously we can't have it all, the Arctic Cheetah made up for its lack of armor with plenty of gusto and some really useful configurations that can fit more than just the scouting role. It might not be the most popular clan light Omnimech, but it has a rich history and its utility makes it easy to love. But what do you think? Is the Arctic Cheetah a good pick over options like the Mist Lynx, or is the investment not worth it? Do you have a favorite configuration or a personal creation that you swear by? Please let me know in the comments and we'll keep the discussion going. Thanks to Big Red 40 Tech for lending his voice to Diablo Reed. It Ends in Fire and Shrapnel 12 is an intense read if you're a fan of Clan Novakat. Don't miss it. If you enjoyed the video and want to see more, hitting the like and subscribe buttons drastically increases your likelihood of seeing my nonsense in the future. Going one step further to become a channel member through YouTube or supporting through Ko-fi goes a long way to keeping this all running a little bit longer. I really appreciate the opportunity to work on these videos for you each week. Thank you. With that, I'll say please take care, have a good week, and go out and make the world a slightly better place today and tomorrow.